What's up, guys? Welcome back to Michigan Muckraker. My name is Michelle. Today is August 14th of 2023, and I have a ton of updates to share with you today on the EV market here in Michigan. So first, I'm going to start with some updates on Gotion, Marshall, and Mundy Megasites, and then I have some relevant information to share about the Flint Water Crisis that is still ongoing despite what the news is saying, and something very interesting to share with you about electric roads that are going to charge the electric vehicles while you're driving, and LG Energy Solution considering Holland for North American headquarters. So Holland might already be considered a mega site. Back in 2012, 2013, they got their first battery plant there. So now LG is considering, again, expanding that area. We also have Ford patents hint at EV charging while driving. So directly linked, obviously, to those electric roads. We have some information on the new education department. Since the first one failed, why not create a second, right? Public education. Lastly, I wanted to share proof of voter fraud. I'm sure that you've all heard. I'm a little bit behind on that news, but I'm going to share just a summary of what was discovered. And again, if you need proof, it's there now. So, without further ado, I'm going to jump in. Good morning, everybody. Colleen, Dragonfly, thank you guys for joining me. Gail, of course, thank you very much for joining me. Let's get into this. Boom. So we're going to start with Marshall. They are in court going up against Medea, which is their economic development association. I need to know what the A is, but judge hears Marshall Megasite case, rejects Medea's delays. This is August 10th, and it was first released August 9th. So a hearing on the committee for Marshall, not the Megasite's case, against the City of Marshall and Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance, there you go, was heard in Calhoun County Circuit Court before the Honorable Judge William Moretti today. Our attorney, Robert Dube, I'm sorry, I should know. I think that's the same attorney for Gotion, came well prepared and argued strongly on all merits of the case. During the hearing, City of Marshall and Medea attorneys made no attempt to explain their authority for violating the constitutional rights of the signature gatherers. The City of Marshall and Medea attempted to delay the hearing by filing numerous motions to unilaterally change the date of the hearing and reject the committee's opposition brief. The court rejected these motions, but will allow them each a response brief, as they did not come prepared. These City of Marshall and Medea responses to the committee's opposition brief must be filed by August 20th. A ruling by the court expected shortly after the response briefs are filed. If the court rules in our favor, the rezoning will be suspended until an election can be held. And so this is just some information if you want to donate for the cause to try to stop the megasite. Now, I heard a few things. I heard that the Medea kept trying to say that these individuals they're not actually living in Marshall. The individuals that are on the Marshall, not the Megasite committee that is fighting Marshall Megasite. So the response to that is there are several people in Medea that don't live in the City of Marshall either. So I don't know why that's either here or there, you know. They're just trying to bring up whatever they can to discredit the Marshall, not the Megasites movement. So got to keep an eye on that. Let's hope that the judge and the judicial system is still working for the people and that we can be heard. Now, one of the other things that's been said is that we can't stop this project because we've already given all the money to them. So it'll waste money. It's like, we shouldn't have given the money then, especially when the people that live there don't want to give the money. Battle over Ford's EV battery plant continues as local group takes legal action. This was Wednesday, August 9th, and this just shows a little bit of how terrible this megasite is for Mother Nature. And I mean, look at that. It's awful. But hey, this is all for planet Earth, right? Go green. It looks very green, doesn't it? Wednesday was another day in court for a group trying to slam the brakes on Ford's electric vehicle battery plant in Marshall. A judge heard new arguments from a group called the Committee for Marshall, Not the Megasite, on why they believed their constitutional rights were violated. It's an ongoing battle between the City of Marshall, Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance, or MEDIA, and the Committee for Marshall, Not the Megasite. The arguments come back to a petition summit almost 3 months ago to Marshall City Clerk Michelle Eubanks. Over 800 signatures were collected standing against the rezoning of farmland near I-140. I-140? Where did that come from? I-94 and I-69 for industrial use. The final step allowing the project to proceed. This is zoning. It needs to be done with no end user in mind. Robbie Dube, lawyer for the Committee for Marshall, Not the Megasite, said. Eubanks said only 136 signatures are valid because most were not collected by committee members. It is unconstitutional to limit who may gather signatures to the committee, Dube said. MEDIA officials said some of the petitioners aren't even Marshall residents. There you go. How is it that an individual who's not a City of Marshall resident is standing to challenge an ordinance approved within the City of Marshall? MEDIA's attorney said. Again, there are several members of MEDIA that aren't living in Marshall. MEDIA's attorney also said the signatures are just one reason the committee's petition should be dismissed. Also, we don't know who lives where a lot of times. There's been several times where it was claimed that people against Gotion came from out of state, and they weren't from out of state, including myself at the very beginning. So there's a lot of disingenuous rhetoric going on. So, of course, we have to be aware of that. MEDIA's attorney also said the signatures are just one reason the committee's petition should be dismissed. Petitioners spend an awful lot of time talking about First Amendment rights, but First Amendment rights are not even relevant if there is no right to a referendum. Marshall City Attorney Joseph Colonine. What do you mean there's no right to a referendum? Why wouldn't the people have a right to a referendum? Dube argues Eubanks overstepped her job duties assessing the petition. The city clerk's role is clearly ministerial, and only required her to validate the signatures rather than examine the substance of the petition, Dube said. She far exceeded that authority by determining that the referendum is not legal. The lawyer said the city charter is clear the rezoning ordinance can't go to a vote because money has already been appropriated for the project. The Committee for Marshall argues the city ordinance being used to block its petition is illegal and unenforceable because of that same language on appropriated money. So I'm going to keep my eye out on that. Again, I hope that the judge rules in favor, of course, of the people. The people want a pause on the project, and so they should be adhered to and listened to. We're going to jump over to legislators seek answers from MEDC on state's Gotion deal after Eagle reports having no information. So we're going over to Gotion. This came out June 7th, so I'm a little behind on this. I did not see it. But if you come down here, in a letter to the MEDC, the legislators state, most concerning to us, though, is how Eagle, the department tasked with observing and reviewing these types of concerns, appear to have no knowledge or data related to any of the potential impacts from this project. Furthermore, it is also concerning how the MEDC approved $715 million in state incentives to this company without including Eagle in the review of any important environmental data that you received. I don't know if you've watched the videos that I put out last week, but one of them was the Muskegon River Watershed Assembly meeting that was held on July 19th. And in it, they said that the process is that they buy the land first, and then Eagle comes in and determines whether or not the project is environmentally friendly and sound enough to continue on. Now, I don't know how that makes sense. And they said, well, why would you Why would the company spend hundreds of millions of dollars on an environmental impact study before they purchase the land? Well, first of all, our taxpayer dollars went to purchase that land for Goshen. So why couldn't we instead have spent that money to do an environmental impact study? And then see if, well, I know that it's not going to pass, but that's the thing. That's why that happens, is that they buy it first, is because it's all corrupt. Honestly, we all know it. Anybody that's still listening here, I really appreciate you, because I'm really reiterating some of the same points, it feels like, but it's really important to understand that the facts are there and that this is not a just system that's occurring. It's not right that our taxpayer dollars are going to buy this land for a private company. So it happened. Goshen finalizes land purchase for battery factory in Green Charter Township. This was August 1st. We'll begin environmental studies process now that they've already bought the land. So, as Marjorie stated, had a great question. Now that they bought the land, if the environmental impact study shows that there's a huge environmental impact, and so they can't build, what then? We just sold our land to this company that can't even build there. So to me, it seems obvious, once again, that money has been exchanged behind the scenes. This is the plan for the central government that we have here in Michigan. And so who cares what the people want? Project Elephant, a plan for Goshen Inc., North American Manufacturing, to establish an electric vehicle battery component manufacturing, oh my gosh, has purchased 270 acres of land in the township. Colleen says, you have a home inspection before you buy a home, not after. Exactly. But for some reason, huge corporations buying hundreds of acres of American Michigander land, that doesn't have the inspection before. The inspection comes after. Makes sense. Completion of the land acquisition process is a step forward for Goshen Inc. and the region as a whole, Chuck Thelen, Vice President of Goshen North American Manufacturing, said. About 260 acres of the purchased land is currently zoned for industrial use. About 10 acres is zoned for residential or agricultural use. Some nearby homes were purchased due to the proximity to the overall site. Again, taxpayer dollars were given to these individuals to buy their land for way more than what they are actually worth. And all of them had to sign an NDA. All suspicious. Thelen said the small parcel currently zoned for agricultural use had previously been zoned industrial for nearly 20 years, and Goshen will work to rezone the property back to industrial use. We've listened to concerns of local residents and decided not to purchase two large parcels of land zoned for agricultural use at this time, Thelen said. Goshen Inc. will continue to work with members of the community and our municipal, county, and state partners throughout this entire process. According to the release, Goshen will now begin Stage 2, consisting of environmental studies in preparation for an environmental review by the Michigan Development of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy to finalize the site plan. The Green Charter Township Board of Trustees will consider approval of development agreement with Goshen North American Manufacturing at the meeting. Yes, that meeting already occurred. So this comes out of American Wire. Whitmer ignores residents. Allows CCP-tied EV company backed by Dems to buy up land. August 2nd. As Chinese-backed company continued gobbling up American land like a game of military base monopoly, constituent concern went by the wayside for Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. It was worse than just went by the wayside. We've been gaslit. We've been called xenophobic. Any tactic, any shady, crappy tactic in the book, they've used it against us. They belittle our grassroots movement, but that just means that we are hitting pain points. That's how I look at it. The lockdown queen of Kovistan, somehow reelected in November 2022, selected or reelected, has yet to quit sticking it to residents of the Great Lakes state. That was readily apparent Tuesday when the Chinese Communist Party-linked electric vehicle battery company, Goshen High-Tech, announced their purchase of 270 acres of land with an added bonus of millions in taxpayer dollars. Known as Project Elephant, Goshen's VP of North American Operations, Chuck Thelen, released a statement Thursday announcing the acquisition of land in Green Charter Township, Michigan, some 100 miles from the nation's largest UN National Guard training facility. U.S. Freudian slip, United States. Technically, still considered the United States, not United Nations quite yet. Completion of the land acquisition process is a step forward for Goshen, Inc. and the region as a whole. Thelen said of the trimmed-down purchase, "We've listened to the concerns of local residents and decided not to purchase two large parcels of land zones for agricultural use at this time. Goshen, Inc. will continue to work with members of the community and our municipal, county, and state partners." Okay, same quote. So real quick, there's no way that they're listening to us and are going to try to convince us. This is what I think is going on. Green Charter Township, they're trying to have their own master plan. Right now, they don't. They have the Mecosta County master plan. And in that, the Goshen is not in there, right? So they're trying to create their own master plan. And I think that's how they're going to try to get around having the Mecosta County board, planning board, change the zoning, because a lot of no Goshen people went to the last meeting where they were going to try to change the land from agricultural to industrial. And so instead of going through that board and putting pressure on them, I think that that's why they're waiting. They're waiting for a master plan for Green Charter Township, so they don't have to go through the Mecosta County Planning Board. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Completion of the land acquisition process is a step forward for Goshen, Inc. and the region as a whole, Thelen said of the trimmed-down purchase. I already said that. I'm sorry. As previously reported, residents had been pushing back on the proposal that would see two 550,000 square foot production plants constructed on the rural Michigan land after Whitmer had okayed $2.4 billion investment in October. That was a very good video I suggest you watch, and links will be in the description as always. But these are local residents concerned about their environment and their town, okay? The only apparent sign of acquiescence to concerns came as Thelen noted that they hadn't procured the residential and agricultural land they wanted, but that they would be looking to get local officials to rezone it for industrial use so they could buy it at a later time. In his own press release, Michigan Rep. John Molinar, a member of the House Select Committee on Strategic Competition between the United States and Chinese Communist Party, announced, "I will continue to do everything I can to bring light to the risks of this project." Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't like John Molinar. I don't think that he's authentic, and I think that him creating this Chinese Communist Committee that he did was just to get more power. I could be wrong. I know that he's technically attempting to help us fight Goshen, but I feel like it was more of a power grab than actual trying to help us. And again, I could be wrong, but I'm just being honest with you. Mecosta County residents have overwhelmingly spoken out against this deal while being bullied and kept in the dark by Goshen and local officials who sign non-disclosure agreements that go against the public's right to know, the congressman said. The simple facts are that Goshen is a subsidiary of a company that pledges allegiance to the CCP, and it should not be receiving taxpayer money to build in Michigan. He's right about that. He added of the $175 million the Michigan Senate Appropriations Committee had granted through a 10-9 vote meant to help Goshen fund construction of their new facility, which boasted to bring in 2,000 or more jobs. In addition to the concerns about Chinese control of American land, Project Elephant appeared to pose a potential national security risk due to its proximity to military armories some 60 miles away to Camp Grayling. Now, I remember when Jim Chapman, the supervisor that has been recalled of Green Charter Township, laughed at people's concerns of the proximity to the military armories. So that's why he's being recalled, one of the many reasons. You don't laugh at your constituents' concerns. Whether or not you agree with them doesn't matter. You're supposed to be working for all the people in your township. For our state to welcome CCP investment in Michigan, 100 miles from the same facility where the Michigan National Guard has worked with military officials from Taiwan, is a dangerous double standard that puts national security at risk. This land purchase in Green Township is a step backwards for Michigan and our communities, Molinar warned. Already, concerns have arisen from similar land grabs like the previously reported 55,000 acres surrounding the Travis Air Base in Solano County, California. I really wanted to be stationed at Travis, but I was not. I was stationed at a different base that sucked in California. While that purchase, for which the anonymous Flannery Associates were suing sellers for alleged conspiracy to overprice, had no confirmed links to the CCP. Another investment in Grand Forks, North Dakota was. Additionally, late last week, President Joe Biden had flown to Maine to sign an executive order touting his commitment to support domestic manufacturing in the United States, while one of his allies facilitated a massive investment and potential spying opportunity for the Chinese. So I hear a lot about the fact that we need to compete with China, and that's why we need to have these EV battery plants and semiconductor plants here. I think I've said this in another video, but I'm going to say it again just to reiterate the point. Why are we going to try to compete in a market that China has already cornered? And that is terrible for the environment. I can show you tons of proof of that. They have huge landfills filled with batteries that they don't know how to recycle. They've polluted their water to holy hell with these EV battery plant facilities. And again, EV technology is garbage. So why don't we have some American innovation? We come up with a new energy like hydrogen or something else, something way cleaner. I have not looked much into hydrogen, so perhaps it is just as dirty. I don't know that. But we need something else. Why, again, would we compete in a market that's already been cornered? So it doesn't make any sense to me. It's not logical. Gotion announces hiring plans and non-union preferences for EV battery factory. This, of course, was right after it already bought the land. August 8th, 2023. Now we're supposed to be a union state, and yet we are pushing for this non-union EV battery plant to be built. Gotion Inc. is preparing to hire employees for its $2.4 billion electric vehicle battery plant in Big Rapids. The company is hoping to keep the factory non-unionized. They recently bought 270 acres. Chairman Zhen expressed concerns over pushback to the plant during a recent site visit, which I didn't even know about this, and I have something to show you about Chairman Zhen in just a minute. Chuck Thelen, the executive at Gotion in charge of the project, addressed concerns raised by board members and assured them of the overwhelming support from local and government officials. Again, Chuck Thelen works directly for this very powerful billionaire from China. Despite the land acquisition, final contracts with the township, state, and utility companies, as well as environmental permits, still need to be finalized. Again, when you think about utility companies, Consumers Energy said that they're going to have 100% green to power this facility. Impossible. Lies. And the fact that they've talked about rolling blackouts, and yet they have enough electricity for this for two 550,000 square foot plants. Thelen plans to start recruiting employees within a 25-mile radius of the plant site with a goal of eventually expanding the recruitment pool to the rest of the state. Initially, the company aims to have 40 to 50 employees by the end of the year in engineering and IT positions. Gotion has partnered with Ferris State University for workforce training. The company also intends to bring 20 to 50 short-term employees from China to assist with setting up the plant. A general contractor and architect will be named in the coming days. Overall, Gotion promises to create 2,300 jobs, offering an hourly wage of $24.50 plus benefits. Isn't that great? Gotion has not disclosed the names of customers outside its own umbrella, but it has indicated that automakers and energy storage companies in Michigan are among them. The battery parts plant will have a capacity of 100 gigawatt hours of battery production and will supply a Gotion battery pack plant in the U.S., although the location has yet to be announced. The company is also seeking contracts with suppliers for materials like graphite, coke, and lithium iron carbonate. Gotion aims to work with local suppliers for the project. The plant's construction was delayed by a year due to various setbacks, including changes to the footprint and height restrictions. They're not going to say anything about the fact that Big Rapids Township board members started fighting back against it, and perhaps that's some of the reason why they had to rearrange their plans. Despite concerns about slumping EV sales in the industry, Gotion has not experienced a slowdown in demand for its products. The company is focused on successfully launching the plant and is optimistic about its prospects. This is from Heather Dow, Patriot Post Girl. You all know those jobs that were promised by Gotion. Well, those jobs are preferably non-union, and some will go to Chinese too. The applicant pool is shrinking, while the unemployment line is growing. How do union members being laid off by the big three feel about this? I really like this community chest. I tried to put that as a thumbnail, but it didn't fit right. But thank you very much to Patriot Post Girl for keeping up on this stuff. It is a very good question. Again, how is a pro-union state bringing in a non-union plant like this? This just is another right here. The project is moving forward following the Chinese company's acquisition and approval from company chairman Li Zhen, who toured the site a few weeks ago with board members and expressed concerns over pushback. Certainly they had some questions, said Chuck Thelen, executive at Gotion tasked with moving the plant forward. When it gets to national news, it even makes its way back to Germany and China, so they were a little concerned. Yes, China is paying attention to us, obviously. Gotion CEO refuses to say if he's a member of the CCP. That would be Li Zhen. Gotion Inc. President and CEO, oh, that's Chen Li, I'm sorry. So it won't say if that's the son. So that is the son, and that right there is Li Zhen, the father. Now, while back, Gotion's founder Li Zhen is a member of CCP and formerly served at Anhui Provincial Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. That's a mouthful. And then I asked down here, do you have any references you could share on Li Zhen and his connections? And this is what he provided. Now, it is in Chinese, but luckily Google let us translate it. Li Zhen is a native of Anhui, a member of the CCP of China. Started working in July of 1984, has a master's degree, and is currently the chairman of Hefei Gotion Group. Let's see, it says worked in the political department, economic research center. He served as a general manager of Hefei Economic and Technological Development Center, and Li Zhen is also a member of the 9th and 10th Anhui Provincial Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. And in 2016, his family became the richest man in Anhui with a wealth of $14 billion of won, I think is how you say it. I should know. Ranking 195th in the country. So, yes, he is working for the CCP. I've said it in several other videos, but I think it's important to reiterate the point every now and again. Colleen says, this all reminds me of the movie WALL-E. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned WALL-E because my dad loves that movie and he thinks that that's where we're going. I fear that he may be right in some aspects now. As far as going off this planet, no way. Not going to happen. But that's a topic for a different video. As electric cars boom, locals fear Chinese battery plant will harm land in drought-stricken Hungary. So this is happening over in Hungary too. I'm not going to get completely into this article, but I just thought it was interesting that locals over in another country are dealing with the exact same thing that we are dealing with here. Chinese battery plants harming our land and taking our water. Now, jumping over to Mundy Township Megasite information. I just found this on the Mundy Schwartz Creek Facebook page. The Flint and Genessee Economic Alliance, with $1.5 million in state funding through the MEDC, has prepared and is soliciting an advanced manufacturing in Mundy Township. Proposed land for megasite. Okay. Within a half-mile radius of the proposed site, 9 major subdivisions, 4 manufactured home communities, 1 elementary school, which it's up for debate whether or not that will be staying open, 2 daycare centers, 2 child daycare centers. Why do we care? We don't want cancer or any other illnesses or diseases caused by toxic water. Water pollution. The semiconductor and EV battery sector deal with hundreds of dangerous chemicals and compounds. We are looking at a real Eric Brockovich type scenario or a water crisis that has an even larger reach than the Flint Water Crisis, which I do have some updates on that I'm going to get into very quickly. Semiconductors create toxic metal-laden waste water and have polluted seriously in the past. So this is giving information on some of the chemicals and the project as a whole, a very nice central area of information for Mundy Township semiconductor megasite that's being proposed. Let's see, there are 2 ways water can be affected. The communities that will be directly linked to Genesee County water and wastes near water treatment plant that was put online after the Flint Water Crisis. Wow. And the communities that sit within the linked watershed region, Genesee Drain Commission impact. So whoever put this together, thank you. You've done your due diligence on trying to show exactly what is at stake here. So I will, again, leave this link down in the description below and have you check that out. This is the board meeting that's tonight, August 14th at 7 p.m. at Mundy Township. And it's the, I'm blanking on the word I'm looking for, but this is what is going on tonight, okay? And here are some updates. This is what a resident, Mundy Township, sent to a few of the reps. As a Michigan resident my whole life, I grew up on Lake Michigan and now reside in Mundy Township, where the powers that be want to put an EV megasite across the street from my home in a recently changed agricultural zone near Bishop Airport. I'm against this whole idea of making Michigan a lithium and semiconductor cesspool. If the idea of the Green New Deal is to preserve our climate and environment, then why on earth would government Gretchen Whitmer want to poison our precious states, Great Lakes, and natural resources with this EV revolution of dead ends? Most people cannot afford to buy these lithium battery vehicles, not to mention the waste and environmental hazard they pose on our landfills. This is not about saving our environment, but about lining the pockets full of the powers that be. For the powers that be, excuse me. What a disaster that is ahead of us if our state senators and representatives don't stop this atrocity from coming to our local townships and counties. Flint water purification systems can't even manage the lead water crisis, let alone filter through 25 million gallons of semiconductor waste a plant will require to pump back into Lake Huron every day. There are pending megasite plants targeted for Lake Michigan as well. There are no environmental impact reports to speak of regarding these factories, which should be the first priority of all boards in regards to residential and public safety in an area and abroad when considering a manufacturing site. With the help of our communities, I believe we have a chance to use our voices to warn and advise our officials to do the right thing before it's too late. This is a nonpartisan issue, and the majority of Michiganders do not want our state used and abused for EV poisonous revolution. Please think long and hard about what your vote will do to the residents, livelihoods, farmland, wetlands, waterways, wildlife habitat, and natural resources of our gorgeous state. Please keep Michigan pure and save our Great Lakes from this atrocity of electric vehicle production in our precious land. Vote no on semiconductor and lithium battery plants in our neighborhoods and farmlands. Thank you for your earnest consideration and your service to the Michigan taxpayer and American citizen. This was very well said. Thank you for sending that to your representatives. Now, I have 2 responses. This was from Rep. Berlin, and I'm sorry if I butcher names. I always do on this channel. I'm not very good at it. I apologize. Thanks for contacting our office. It's nice to hear from you. Rep. Berlin acknowledges and shares deep concerns about the proposed EV megasite near our community and across Michigan and the potential implication it holds for Michigan's environment and residents. Preserving our state's natural beauty and resources should be a priority, and it echoes the sentiments of many who hold Michigan close to their hearts. We have the same reservations about other projects across the state, and their ties to the CCP, as well as the environmental impact of lithium battery production. It's crucial that any significant industrial endeavor undergoes rigorous evaluation, especially considering its potential consequences for our delicate ecosystems and the long-term well-being of our communities. Rep. Berlin is committed to lending a voice to your concerns and did not support this project. Further, he would like to see a thorough assessment of the project's environmental implications. Thank you for your dedication to Michigan's well-being and reaching out to our office. Outreach to elected officials is an essential part of shaping the direction of our state's growth, and Berlin stands alongside you in seeking answers and ensuring that the decisions made reflect the best interests of our communities. I have also passed this to Rep. Begol's office, as he is your state representative as well. Please do not hesitate to reach out for further questions and concerns. Best, Joseph Stevenson, Legislative Aide, Office of Rep. Berlin. Yes, all these reps have AIDS. AIDS. Good morning, Ronnie. I appreciate you joining. If I can get that. Hope you had a great weekend. All of you, by the way. Hopefully you enjoyed nice weather. It was okay here, but for August, it's kind of chilly. It's in the 70s. I know that's not chilly, but 70s to me is like October weather, maybe late September. Right now, it should be 80s still, but I digress. This is from Begol, or Begoli. Thank you for reaching out to the state government regarding your correspondence over this vital issue. Rest assured, your state representative, Brian Begoli, has seen your message and is aware of the issue. Representative Begoli shares many of the same concerns you have mentioned to Rep. Berlin, and he is committed to finding the best possible outcome for the citizens of District 71 in regard to this issue. As this issue is still in its early stages, Representative Begoli is still gathering information over the property in question, as well as anything else that may be occurring in the area. However, you can rest assured that when Representative Begoli is aware of the full context of this potential issue, he will provide the necessary legislation to ensure a positive outcome for District 71. I don't like the way that was worded, but thank you again for reaching out to the state government regarding this issue, and Representative Begoli encourages that you reach out to your office if you have any further information over this matter, or if there is another issue you may need assistance with. And lastly, the moderators kicked somebody off of Schwartz Creek, Mundy Township Megasite, for speaking the truth about Mundy Township board members signing NDAs in a serious breach of public trust. So this is that individual requesting a copy of NDAs signed by Tanya Ketzler, Township Supervisor, and Chad Young, Township Manager, in regards to the dealings with companies unknown and interest in purchasing, leasing, or conducting business on the recently rezoned district, Advanced Manufacturing Overlay District, to build a semiconductor or lithium battery plant campus in Mundy Township. Thank you for your cooperation and transparency in serving the public interest and concern for this township. So, NDA signed over in that township as well. Unsurprising. Colleen, our 10-day forecast is nuts. High of 75 today, but next Wednesday is going to be 108. Wow. I don't know how you handle it, Ronnie, and no rain to boot. Oh, because yes, Texas heat is off the hook, says Ronnie. Yes. I was in San Antonio for basic training in June and July. Yeah, no thank you. That's all I got to say about that. All right, so this comes out of site selection. Let the chips fall here. If there's any place better suited for the next semiconductor fab, Flint and Genesee County want to know about it. Zoom in from satellite view to certain areas in and around Flint, Michigan, and you'll see what looks like to be a tightly routed patterns of a semiconductor chip. Zoom in closer, and those patterns resolve into hundreds of newly manufactured GM pickup trucks parked tightly in lots and waiting patiently for the semiconductor they need to operate and be shipped out to customers. How'd the trucks get to those parking spots in the first place? They take a chip from one truck and park it, then take it out and put it in the next one and park it, says Tyler Rossmolesser, Executive Director of Flint and Genessee Economic Alliance. All the trucks being made at the Flint assembly plant started getting parked around town, he says. Every empty field, drive-in movie theater, empty parking lot, every brownfield, overnight parking at the airport just waiting for some little chip to be shipped out. Today, the picture is changing as semiconductor investments begin landing on U.S. shores following the August 2022 signing of the CHIPS and Science Act, which provides incentives for such investments. Tens of billions of dollars are coming to projects in upstate New York and Ohio, among others. What do these sites have in common? Proximity to the Great Lakes. A high volume of quality water is a key location factor for semiconductor plants, which can use and process and recycle as much as 50 million gallons a day, compared to a typically heavy user at 5 millions of gallons of water per day. So 10 times more, which I'm surprised I even knew that. Math's not my friend. Ross Maseller says Genesee County has attracted some interest, and boy, does he have a Great Lake for you. We think we have a competitive advantage, this big old straw in Lake Huron. He says of the region's connection to the 5th largest lake in the world. Then he makes some size comparisons to other global locations welcoming chip fab investments. There are 23,000 square miles on Lake Huron, he says, twice the size of Taiwan. If you superimpose Lake Huron on Arizona, for example, it's 1/5 the size of the state and would almost touch its western and eastern borders. They're deep, too. Drain the Great Lakes, he says, and it would cover the continental United States in 9 feet of water. Leave our water alone. Wave after wave, yes, they know. Mention of Flint and water dredges up memories of the city's water quality crisis. Today, however, the water treated by the Great Lakes Water Authority is better than that found in a lot of U.S. communities. A $100 million municipal infrastructure program is underway, and the city's water continues to serve such companies as GM Genessee Packaging, Lear, and Tenacity Brewing. I'm going to come back to this, but really quick, look at this. So first, you have this. City of Flint marks 7th straight year of safe water. This came out August 8th of 2023. This is bullshit. This is not what's going on. If you actually look into it, the Flint Water Crisis is still going on today. This just came out this year as well. If I could find the date, it was March it came out. And this is from Status Quo, who does excellent work here in the Midwest. And they covered the East Palestine, Ohio issues, and they're still covering the Flint, Michigan water crisis issue. Falsifying a federal and state regulatory compliance test, that is a crime. Legendary environmental consumer advocate Erin Brockovich told Status Quo about the manipulated testing in 2018. In light of the falsified tests, which Brockovich called cheating, she called for Snyder's environmental department's testing to be flushed down the toilet. The governor's environmental department had violated federal regulations by sending officials into residents' homes and running their water for several minutes before collecting water samples. Our government is so corrupt, you cannot believe it when they say that Flint water crisis is over. Of course, the agency tasked with protecting the United States environment and public health acted upon this scandalous information, right? Wrong. The EPA did worse than nothing. It echoed the criminally fraudulent testing passed off by Governor Snyder's as Flint's mission accomplished and lent its rubber stamp to the lie that Flint's water was safe. Hey, but we should trust the EPA and trust Eagle. They don't do anything manipulative at all. 5 years after Flint's water was declared restored, one only has to spend some time in the embattled, impoverished Rust Belt city, or just to speak with enough residents to know that nearly a decade later, Flint's water is still contaminated. My water has a sewer smell off and on, and black shiny stuff coming out of the water, Flint resident Jolena, what a beautiful name, Freeman told Status Quo. It's gross, and we have no idea what it is or what it could be doing to us. But we have no choice but to shower in it and hope for the best. I mean, dang, it's a rotten way to live day to day and for this long. Let's see. Ronnie, go to this one first. Ronnie said, it's also nefarious weather, water, food manipulation. Absolutely. Don Ludwig, I just want you to be aware, I am the one that started the Facebook page for Mundy Township Schwartz Creek. I've had to lock down the comments because some of them were being ridiculous. And that does happen. If you have any examples, I will share here if you would like to share. Colleen says, when tap water comes out yellow-orange, you know it's not safe. Absolutely. And so, again, these government entities that are touting that Flint water is safe, that's a lie. Melissa Mays, a Flint mother of 3 who became the lead plaintiff against Governor Snyder and the state of Michigan in the 2017 settlement that awarded the city $97 million toward lead service line replacement, also made clear that the city's water is in no way safe. My water smells like straight pond because it's TTHM testing time and again, so no chlorine in the water. Mays said her chlorine reference is in regard to water testing underway, looking at the total TTHM levels in Flint's water. TTHMs are disinfection byproducts that at elevated levels can cause cancer and were found to far exceed safe health levels in Flint in 2014. So, as you can see, what these individuals are saying over here, again, is a lie. Genesee County uses a separate water system from Flint through the Cairngormy Water Authority. The KWA water intake pipeline can bring in about 85 million gallons of water a day from Lake Huron to the Genesee County Water Treatment Plant, operated by the Genesee County Drain Commissioner's Office. Right now, the county uses less than half of that, meaning there's a capacity to spare for a large industrial user like a chip fab. Genesee County Drain Commissioner Jeffrey Wright notes that business partners can opt for a direct supply to raw water, which is just 1/10 of the cost of treated water and eliminates the need for businesses to spend resources to filter common chemicals added during the treatment process. The availability of affordable water and land in the Flint Genessee County region of Michigan are positives in attracting semiconductor manufacturing investment and the growing industry footprint in the Midwest, with recent announcements in Ohio and Indiana, adds to the draw. Yes, once again, if you watch my America 2050 United States regional video, then you'll know that Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, and some parts of Canada have all been chosen to hold all these EV battery plants and semiconductor plants because it's going to be the largest region in America by 2050, according to their plans. So, yeah, it makes sense too, of course, water. There's beautiful, clean water here, and they just can't wait to get their hands on it. Pieces of the puzzle, the state's new semiconductor talent action team, a public-private partnership launched in November 2022 by Governor Gretchen Whitmer and the MEDC, aims to make that case even stronger. Right, so now our taxpayer dollars are going to a team that's going to, re-educate the masses and make sure everybody knows that we need to be for this. The match is as obvious as those parking lots full of chipless trucks. The state is home to nearly 1/5 of U.S. auto production, and 26 OEMs have headquartered or tech centers in the United States. EMSI says the state semiconductor industry, think Hemlock, already contributes $4.8 billion in total gross product value. The sector's Michigan workforce ranks among the top 10 states and is expected to grow by 6% in the next 5 years. But is that growth authentic, or is it forced by the state, manipulated by the state? Michigan saw 11% growth in semiconductor component manufacturing from 2016 to 2021 as number 1 in the nation in employment of mechanical and electrical engineers. It is time to zoom in again on Flint and Genessee. Michigan is competing hard to attract chip fabs and other high-tech manufacturing, Bruce Rasher says. And given its location, population, strong community leadership, proximity to excellent universities, and the state's commitment to helping prepare the workforce to fill these jobs, Flint and Genesee County are well positioned to capitalize. Yes, universities have absolutely been captured here in Michigan. I don't know for how long. At least a decade, if not a lifetime, right? 20 years is considered a generation. All right, so now we're going to get into other EV news. Whitmer, again, touts thousands of jobs that don't exist. Governor misrepresents job announcements as jobs. August 4th. Governor Gretchen Whitmer boasted in an August 2nd tweet that she has been successful in luring investments in battery manufacturing plants, claiming the subsidized plants will add thousands of jobs. But the record shows a different story. If you're keeping score, when I took office, we had 0 battery manufacturing facilities. Soon we will have 5, Whitmer wrote. We've brought home more than $16 billion in projects and secured over 16,000 jobs, EV jobs building EVs, batteries, semiconductors, and clean energy. There's nothing clean about this energy. So why do they keep saying that? That's just a straight up lie. And what else were they going to say about this? Oh, we've brought home more than $16 billion. Yes, you've bribed more than $16 billion in projects. The job numbers Whitmer cites in her tweet are potential future jobs that have been announced, not positions that are currently filled, available, or in the process of being created. Such misleading and sometimes false claims have been a hallmark of Whitmer's administration. Politicians often hype tax-paid subsidies to corporations by describing jobs projected as jobs themselves. In nearly all cases, the number of new jobs end up being far smaller than the number announced. State officials gave $100 million to Ford Motor Company in 2022 and announced that the company was going to create 3,000 new jobs. Ford announced 2 months later that it was laying off 3,000 workers. None of the plants noted in Whitmer's tweet exist yet. They are not 16,000 jobs secured. Whitmer's tweets casts a negative light on one of her predecessor's own outlandish job creation claims. Michigan had 2,521 battery manufacturing jobs in 2022. This was up from 763 such jobs in 2011. Governor Jennifer Granholm spent hundreds of millions of dollars in public funds trying to establish battery manufacturing through her green energy program. Yet, there were no battery manufacturing facilities in the state when Whitmer took office, raising the question of what Michigan taxpayers got for their money last time. I really like what Michigan Capital Confidential does over there, trying to hold, once again, this government, all these governments, accountable. Granholm also boasted that her administration's subsidies would create thousands of new jobs and make Michigan the world hub of battery manufacturing. That never happened. Now Whitmer is making the same promise. Whitmer's office did not respond to a request for comment. Now, I unfortunately think Whitmer is going to bring in these battery plants. I mean, this is what we're fighting. But it's because, once again, she went to Davos, 44,000 taxpayer dollars to send her, and that's without security. We still haven't gotten the bill for the security, but she got to go over to Davos, Switzerland, and schmooze with Klaus Schwab and all the other billionaires. This is another potential megasite, LG Energy Solutions. Oops, I don't know what happened. Seriously considering Holland for North American headquarters. And this was August 4th. Lots of news coming out August 4th. LG Energy Solution is positioning its growth operation in Holland to become the company's North American headquarters as it scales up battery manufacturing across the country. Hey, Dragonfly. Ford, found dead. Found on road dead. Sorry, yes. Yes, I've heard that several times. It's unfortunate because Ford used to be, obviously, something that Michigan could be proud of. And now, not so much. The designation, I personally like Toyota, and I heard that they're going towards hydrogen instead of towards EVs. I think that's intelligent, but I have not looked into much of that, once again. So I do have to look into hydrogen itself. Just with the electric vehicle battery market being pushed, I have been doing way more research into that because that's what we're fighting here. The designation could bring an influx of white-collar and senior-level positions, building on the hundreds of advanced manufacturing jobs LG Energy Solution Michigan is creating on the lakeshore with its $1.7 billion lithium-ion battery expansion in Holland. LG Energy Solution Michigan is a wholly subsidiary of Seoul, South Korea-based LG Energy Solution. We are seriously considering making this site the headquarters for North America. Roger Tribali, project manager at LG Energy Solution Michigan, said during a presentation to local developers at Thursday at the expansion site in Holland. If that happens, it would bring in a whole band of directors and senior persons with a need for executive-level housing. Holland is among the 8 plants across the United States and Canada that LG is aggressively investing in to build capacity and supply chains for automakers that are launching electric vehicle lines, Automotive News reported this week. Once up and running, which is expected by mid-decade, the 8 plants would have a combined 300 gigawatt-hour of electric vehicle battery production capacity. On those 8 sites, Holland and an Arizona facility are the only 2 solely owned by the company, while the rest are joint ventures with major automakers. The projects represent nearly $27 billion in combined investment between LG Energy Solution and its automaker partners, which includes GM, Stellantis, Honda, and Hyundai. As LG Energy Solution continues to expand in North America, the Holland facility is on track to fulfill the role of a control center, i.e. a mother factory, providing operational support and employee education training to other facilities in the region. LG Energy Communications Manager Val Gent told Cranes Grand Rapids via email. Gent did not respond to additional questions about whether Holland is competing with any other LG Energy Solution sites for a North American headquarters or how many additional jobs it would bring to Holland. Lakeshore Advantage President Jennifer Owens said the potential for an LG Energy Solution North American headquarters would create major opportunities for the region and adds research and development and white-collar technical jobs along with the company's manufacturing operations. LG Chem has exceeded operations, Owens said. They're hiring well above the average wage and with 100% paid health care, so really a great employer of choice. But if we can have some of the more white-collar technical jobs, I think it would make it so it's a facility that has hundreds of years of staying power. The Michigan Strategic Board supported the expansion project in March 2022 with $56.5 million in various grants, as well as 20-year Renaissance Zone valued at roughly $132.6 million. So once again, we, the taxpayers, are giving money to these giant corporations that don't or should not need our money. I mean, didn't we bail out GM during the financial crisis? Again, I'm not going to get into that, but I do want to bring this up. Holland manufacturer expands in efforts to create automation destination. So the same company that is saying we'll bring in white-collar jobs is saying they want to bring in automation and make it an automation destination. Coop's Automation Systems has opened its 4th Holland facility, ensuring the company's automation production capabilities and West Michigan presence as market demand remains strong. The new 45,000 square foot building that was renovated from a previous use is located within Coop's Business Park on Productions Court in Holland, where the company also is headquartered. The building provides additional manufacturing space and houses additional offices while offering a modern and efficient work environment. The new building is going to help with larger scale projects. We've really had that need as we've continued to grow. As Coop's aims to grow its presence in Michigan, Slager also sees its new space as part of the company's local epicenter for customers as demand for automation solution continues to grow. Not only are we able to draw from local demand, but also create a kind of automation destination here where customers can travel from all over the world, to come and have their needs met. Slagner credited support from the Holland community and local partners such as Lakeshore Advantage Corp and the Michigan West Coast Chamber of Commerce for contributing to the company's growth locally. Prior to this building, Coops launched its 3rd expansion project in 2020 to increase and diversify in-house manufacturing capabilities. Last year, the company acquired Saginaw-based Right K Technology, which added welding excellence to Coop's offerings, company officials said at the time. Coop's has multiple locations nationally, and their continued choice to invest in the Holland headquarters demonstrates their commitment to the region, their confidence in our local workforce, and their continued success in West Michigan, Jennifer Owens, president of Lakeshore Advantage, said in a 2020 statement. Coop's culture and manufacturing technology expertise are among the benefits that make them an employer of choice, and it's our pleasure to assist them with their growth. So, just wanted to throw that out there. Holland, looking at you too. Don't know what those people think. I do know my husband actually was working, he's a contractor. He was working at someone's house, and the individual's son worked at the Holland plant. And he expressed, if anything were to happen at that plant, everybody in the area would be dead. Don't know what you want to make of that, but when I heard it, I was unsurprised that that's what... Well, I'm surprised that he actually said it and admitted it, but I'm unsurprised that would be the result of any kind of incident. Dragonfly says, doesn't Toyota use more silver in their batteries? Toyota is the leader in hybrid vehicles, so why are they still using ancient battery technology? That's a good question, and I should do some research into that. I'm not for hybrid vehicles, so I like the old style. If I could get a 1970s or something like Bronco, that would be really cool. Ronnie says, I've had 4 Toyotas back long ago. They are awesome cars. I mean, I just want something that will last, that was built with quality, and everything I've read about Toyota, especially their trucks, that's the case. But they do have new vehicles that I'm unaware of that, again, have battery technology, and so I'm unsure of those. I'm talking about, 2019 maybe and older. No water, no workers, no chips. This is out of foreign policy. I can't read the entire thing for you, but I just wanted to share a little bit of... See, this is all I get. All roads lead to Phoenix. On the gravy train of greenfield investment riding on the back of Inflation Reduction Act legislative incentives in the United States, no county ranks higher than Arizona's Maricopa. The county leads the nation in foreign direct investments, with Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, Intel, LG Energy, and others expanding their footprint in the Grand Canyon state. But Phoenix is neither the next Rome nor the next Detroit. The reason boils down to workers and water. And unfortunately, like I said, that's all I can get out of this. But at least there are some people that are questioning the environmental impact of all these plants and whether or not it's really a green solution. DTE offers $2,000 in subsidies, special charging rates for EVs. Once again, if the electric vehicles were a good choice for consumers, then they would pick it without being incentivized, without being bribed by taxpayer dollars. But they're not. Electric vehicles suck for so many reasons. One of them being you just scratch the battery and you're going to have to pay out the butt for a new battery. And insurance companies don't want to cover electric vehicles. So there's just issue after issue. But if government and companies like DTE continue to bribe people, there will be people that take the bribe. Electric companies are not a disinterested party in America's EV transition. They see a way to sell more product and they facilitate that with subsidies. This came out August 8th. Colleen says, back in the day, you could work on your own car. Not anymore. Yes, that is part of the reason why I'd like to have an older vehicle where there's no electronics on it, just mechanical. So that way you can work on your own car once again. And, well, at least my nephew and my brother could work on the car. Because personally, I don't know much about cars. But the whole, just like, what is it? John Deere. You can't work on your own John Deere, right? There's not a right to fix your own piece of property. it's part of moving towards a software-based program where everything is a software as a service, right? I've even heard about light bulbs. Instead of buying light bulbs, it's going to be a service. You pay every year and you get however many light bulbs you need. I mean, everything is going to a service base where you have to pay for every little thing. DTE Energy, one of Michigan's 2 energy giants, offers up to $2,000 in subsidies to people who drive electric vehicles. The company offers $1,500 rebate to people who buy or even lease an electric vehicle. Don't have an EV? Not to worry, DTE's EV showroom will help you sort among eligible choices. There are income limits, $99,440 for a family of 3, and only certain EVs are eligible. Leases or purchases made since December 1st, 2022 are eligible. In 2022, Michigan had 36,900 electric vehicles registered per the U.S. Department of Energy. That's more than double from 2021 number 17,500. Governor Gretchen Whitmer wants 2 million electric vehicles on Michigan roads by 2030, and she has enlisted the Michigan Eagle in that goal, as well as Michigan Public Service Commission. The Public Service Commission, Michigan's energy regulator, last year directed DTE to make peak hour pricing mandatory in Southeast Michigan. All of DTE's rate plans for EVs include peak hour charging, and all offer deep discounts for off-peak charging. DTE offers $500 rebate to people who install a home charger for their EV. There are 3 levels of EV chargers. DTE's rebate applies to level 2 chargers installed after December 31st, 2021. I don't know if you saw a couple videos ago, but we paid $1 million for Whitmer to have EV chargers and a whole new driveway put into her Lansing home, which is a mansion, by the way. While DTE believes that has the capacity to handle 800,000 EVs in its imprint, the company has struggled during weather-related events, with extended power outages in February, March, and July. After the back-to-back outages in February, March, and losing power for 10 to 14 days, Kathleen Russ of Royal Oak testified before the Michigan House Energy Committee. Governor Whitmer wants Michigan to be a leader in electric vehicles. Russ told lawmakers, "I would not accept an EV right now if you gave me one." Governor Whitmer's goals and the current state of DTE are clearly at odds. Yep. Ronnie says they want to control 100% of everything. You're right. That is why they're trying to electrify the world, because you can remotely control electric cars, electric smart homes, and so forth, but you can't remotely control a gas vehicle. Ford patents hint at EV charging while driving. Now, I saw something about this not too long ago. It's very interesting. We're going to explore. Ford is exploring patent technology that could allow EVs to charge while driving using hardware embedded in the road. Published by the United States Patent and Trademark Office on July 20th, 2023, and originally filed January 20th, 2022, a Ford patent application titled Roadway Charging Coil Alignment and Monitoring aims to apply wireless inductive charging to vehicle in motion. There's a nice little picture, like that tree. Good drawing. Wireless inductive charging uses coil mounted in a transmitter connected to a source of electricity and a receiver mounted on the vehicle to transmit electricity wirelessly. Some companies have developed wireless charging systems based on the principle for station applications, and Ford has filed a separate patent application for that use. In this application, though, Ford discusses embedded inductive charging coils in the road and using them to charge moving vehicles. This requires the receiver on the vehicle to be aligned with the line of coils in the road surface. Ford notes that drivers could maintain alignment by following lane markings or be guided by a camera or other sensors designed to read lane markings. Yes, because like a Tesla has like 6 cameras inside and out or something. I mean, obviously it probably depends on the model, but my cousin got one and I believe it's 6 in her vehicle. 6 cameras. However, this still leaves room for misalignment of the car and in-road charging coils, which reduces... I'm sorry. Just give me 1 second. I for some reason, have someone knocking heavily on my door. Okay, guys, sorry about that. My neighbor has some beautiful flowers that she wanted to bring me over for my mother-in-law. So very sweet of her. And they smell wonderful. Come out of her garden. I will put these back here for now. But yes, I love my neighbors. Most of them. Sorry about that, guys. So back to this electric vehicle charging road chargers. However, this still leaves room for misalignment of the car. Okay. Radar data could then be fed into a control system that would automatically adjust steering for optimal charging. In motion, wireless charging has been tried before. In 2017, Renault and Qualcomm, which subsequently sold its wireless charging patents to Tricity, claimed to have charged a car at 60 miles an hour on a test track. In 2020, electric vehicles were successfully charged while driving down a short stretch of road in Sweden. If it reaches production, Ford's radar system might make this type of charging more reliable. However, such a system would require a large infrastructure investment. So, this came out February 1st of 2022. Governor Whitmer announces first in the United States wireless electric vehicle charging road system contract awarded by MDOT. Electrion has been selected to build a public wireless in-road charging system to pilot on a 1-mile section of road in Detroit. In September 2021, Governor Gretchen Whitmer first announced the pilot initiative to develop the nation's first wireless charging. She's long gone, you dummy. First wireless charging infrastructure on a public road in the United States, right here in Michigan. More than half the Michigan's automotive suppliers conduct automated vehicle testing in the state. Michigan offers nearly 600 miles of roadway equipped for connected vehicle testing and is building the road of the future with new 40-mile connected corridor project being led by MDOT and the Office of Future Mobility and Electrification. Very interesting stuff. Governor Gretchen Whitmer announced, yes, Electrion, as we aim to lead the future of mobility and electrification by boosting electric vehicle production and lowering consumers' costs, a wireless in-road charging system is the next piece of the puzzle for sustainability, said Governor Whitmer. I'm happy to see Michigan lead and keep building on these groundbreaking initiatives, creating new business opportunities and high-tech jobs. Together, we will continue growing our economy and putting Michiganders first. Governor Whitmer first announced the inductive vehicle charging pilot in September 2021 at Motor Bella. Later that month, MDOT released the request for proposals specifying the system is safe, scalable, and operable with industry technology and vehicles and financially and environmentally sustainable. So that's coming. Let's see. Electrion will lead the design, evaluation, iteration, testing, and implementation of the pilot program, which aims to be operational as of 2023. Working with Next Gen and Jacobs Engineering Group. The project is currently slated for up to 1-mile stretch of both dynamic and stationary wireless EV charging in Detroit. The project will be hosted by and live within Michigan Central, a mobility innovation district, and supported by partners like Ford Motor, DTE Energy, and the city of Detroit. Yes, Ronnie, my dog, he tries. Dog duty. So cute. He does try. He's kind of small, but he's a good watchdog. Oh, Barb says the charging roadway is another Whitmer dream. 94 is already under construction for it. Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to see, right? Look at this, though. Well, let's see. I'm going to go down here. MDOT will provide $1.9 million in funding toward the pilot project, with Electrion contributing the remainder. Electrified roadways have the potential to accelerate adoption of electric vehicles by consumers and fleet operations alike by enabling continuous vehicle operations and turning public streets into safe and sustainable shared energy platforms. Now, of course, they're not going to do this to all the roads. It's just going to be for the 15-minute cities or the 20-minute neighborhoods like Ann Arbor or Grand Rapids. Going over to Sweden, they're building the world's first permanent electrified road for EVs to charge while driving. This came out, what is that? The 5th? The first of its kind in the world, the e-motorway may lead to an expansion of a further 3,000 kilometers of electric roads in Sweden by 2035. As the EU passed a landmark last month to require all new cars sold to have zero CO2 emissions from 2035, European countries are rushing to prepare the infrastructure needed for fossil fuel-free mobility. Again, all of these restrictions, 2025, 2030, 2035, like having everything done by that time puts a lot of pressure on the infrastructure, as they said, but it also puts a lot of pressure like on energy grids. Germany, for example, I keep bringing them up because I really am worried about the Germans in Germany and their energy this winter. It does get very cold there, and they get majority of their energy from Russia. Well, they used to, and now they can't. So this push to electrify the world is going to cause a lot of damage, a lot of pain and suffering to poor people, most specifically, of course, because rich people will be able to afford to either leave or afford whatever it is that they're trying to do. So this stuff worries me. Why? Why do we have to do it by 2035? Who made these stipulations? Did we vote for them? Did they get voted in? Or were they just self-anointed? I'm not going to get too much into this, but I just thought it was curious that Sweden is building the first, and then Michigan is the first in the United States. Let's see. This is conflict of interest. Okay. This was all the way back in April, talking about Thelen, who 7 days prior, on Thursday, Governor Whitmer named the Right Place President and CEO Randy Thelen to the Michigan Strategic Fund Board. 7 days prior, the Democratic majority of the Senate Appropriations Committee approved a $50 million transfer to the Grand Rapids-based nonprofit, The Right Place, from the taxpayer-funded Michigan Economic Development Corporation Strategic Outreach and Attraction Reserve Fund. The money will be used for the site preparation for Gotion. Gotion received $125 million of the reserve fund money for the EV battery plant. Thelen, not to be confused with his distantly relative Gotion Vice President of North American Manufacturing Chuck Thelen, also served on the Economic Development Corporation in the past, according to his corporate biography. So, is this a conflict of interest? Obviously, we all think so. Marjorie Steele from EDRA actually demanded his resignation at one of the Michigan Strategic Fund Board meetings. But of course, he didn't listen. Nobody cares what we have to say except for each other. Strength in numbers. We got to keep on keeping on. But I did find that interesting, I guess, that this article came out and I missed it. But they're calling out the conflict of interest. Thelen is not only a strategic fund board member associated with Gotion and Mecosta County's Green Charter Township. Bill Pink is a president of Fair State University in Big Rapids, which stands to make significant money from the Gotion deal. Pink also sits on the executive committee for the Economic Development Corporation, and Pink has championed the Gotion project from its inception. Going over to there it is. Fair State University, Michigan budget gives $5 million for collection of racist images. Fair State's Jim Crow Museum has taken in $6 million from taxpayers over 2 years. So, isn't it nice Fair State gets so much money from the government, from the taxpayers? I wonder why. I wonder if it's because of all its connections. The state of Michigan is granting $5 million from the 2024 state budget to Ferris State University's Jim Crow Museum of Racist Imagery. This is the second time in 2 years the museum has received money from the state. It was given $1 million in the 2023 budget, bringing it to a total of $6 million in 2 years. The museum uses objects of intolerance to teach tolerance and promote social justice, according to its website. Very slow. Hopefully that loads. Teaching tolerance with objects of intolerance. The identity of the Jim Crow Museum's benefactor in Lansing is not known. The grant for the museum came in the form of an earmark, and the released budget does not identify which legislators added items directed at specific districts and projects. Ferris State's $13,650 in-state tuition is 20.9% higher than the national average of $11,286, according to U.S. News and World Report. The university raised tuition rates for the undergrads by 3.16% in the 2021-2022 school year and by 3.2% 2022 to 23. Ferris State University will also receive $59.6 million in direct appropriations from the 2024 state budget, meaning the grant for the collection is equal to 8% of the school's appropriation for the year. The museum collection includes about 20,000 objects related to the Jim Crow era in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, according to October 2021 Q&A. Trustees approved $5 million towards a goal of $22 million. The museum hopes to raise for an expansion, according to a February 17th university press release. The project will give the museum a 7,500 square foot area for displaying items as well as hosting conferences, lectures, and workshops. The Jim Crow Museum did not respond to a request for comment. So there you have it. Ferris State University getting all kinds of money. Again, I don't care what people say. Dr. Bill Pink, the way that he was hired into Ferris State University was different than any other hire previous to him. There was 9 non-disclosure agreements signed in order to find the Ferris State University president, and him being part of the MEDC appointed by Whitmer in 2019. All of these things line up to me as sus, okay? He gets special favors, and he was selected to bring in this Gotion deal. But, of course, with all the NDAs, I don't have receipts. But, if everything lines up, I'm not going to ignore facts. There it is. Jim Crow Museum. Witness, understand, heal. The exhibit runs from June 3rd until September 3rd, so it's running right now. If any of you have been to this, let me know what you think of it. Is it worth $6 million? Michigan residents face 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine for using wrong pronouns. From the Daily Express, U.S. Michigan residents could be slapped with a 5-year prison sentence or a whopping $10,000 fine for calling someone their non-preferred gender pronoun under a new bill. Michigan's House of Representatives has passed a hate speech bill known as HB 4474, criminalizing the use of hate speech. This is, again, what Jordan Peterson was fighting, compelled speech by the government. This should never be. This means that if anyone uses words causing someone to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened, including using a gender pronoun the threatened person does not identify with, they could end up with jail time. The bill lists sexual orientation and gender identity or expression as protected classes. Offenders could face up to 5 years in prison for committing such a felony offense. They could also be slapped with a staggering $10,000 fine. What do you guys think of compelled speech laws? Are you okay with this? Do you think it's totally fine because people shouldn't be using the wrong pronoun? I mean, to me, it's very dangerous. Government shouldn't have anything to do with speech. Now, something again, I'm sure you guys have heard of. This is the Gateway Pundit. I go to the Gateway Pundit sometimes, but I do know that they have bias. Okay, almost every mainstream article. These aren't mainstream. I guess it's alternative, but they're big enough that they lean right, okay? But that doesn't mean that the proof that they provide is not real or valid. So we have to make sure we look at the information and the source. Now we have proof. TGP exclusive, massive 2020 voter fraud uncovered in Michigan, including estimated 800,000 ballot applications sent to non-qualified voters. Bags of prepaid gift cards, guns with silencers, burner phones, and a Democrat-funded organization with multiple temporary facilities in several states. This came out August 8th, and that looks like AI generated. You could barely tell, but I could still tell. Special thanks to Philip O'Halloran and Lori Skibo for their contributions and assistance with the story. The two election integrity activists obtained a copy of the state police report and began investigating the story in June. Phil O'Halloran, now chairman of the Michigan Republican Party's Election Integrity Committee, and Lori Skibo, director of the Michigan GOP's Poll Challenger program, brought it to our attention and are assisting with our research in this story. On October 8, 2020, only 1 month before the 2020 general election, Muskegon, Michigan City Clerk Ann Misch noticed a black female whose name was redacted from the police report dropping off between 8,000 and 10,000 completed voter registration applications at the city clerk's office. The Muskegon Police Department was contacted and asked to investigate. On 10/21/20, First Lieutenant Mike Anderson was contacted by Tom Fabus, Chief of Investigations for Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel's office. According to the Michigan State Police report, Mr. Fabus asked for Michigan State Police assistance with the joint investigation of alleged voter fraud being conducted by the Muskegon Police Department and the AG. An investigative task force was formed and an investigation was initiated. So, I'm going to leave this down below for you to read, but once again, I'm going to reiterate, I am not surprised at all. You have proof now, which is good, right? We want proof. We want to back up what we're saying. However, logic dictates that something really shady was going on in 2020 all around, not just Michigan, but in the United States in general. There is an active effort to discredit our elections here in America by design. It is part of the unfortunate collapse that the globalists are trying to bring to America, not just their financial system, but their everything. Our election system, our financial system, our housing, all of it. You have to destroy the old to bring in the new. And so what we need to understand is, why are we able to see this information? Why is this information now coming out? It is 2023. It's been 3 years. Is it because the new elections are coming out next year and they want us to completely disbelieve the elections? Again, I'm not saying that this isn't true, that there wasn't fraud. There absolutely was fraud. I've known since 2020 that there was fraud. But we have to ask, why are they allowing us, again, to talk about it now? One more thing I wanted to say. Elon Musk taking over Twitter, it was not about free speech. It was totally about a soft reset of Twitter. It was to get Trump back into Twitter and have it make sense. If the old CEO was still in charge of Twitter, then it wouldn't make sense for that person to bring back Donald Trump. But the elections are coming up. He is, in my opinion, going to be the next president. And he had to get back on Twitter because Twitter is a very important social media platform. So Elon Musk taking over had not only a positive effect for his Neuralink program, because Twitter is a data resource, but it's also about a soft reset to get Donald Trump back into Twitter and have it make sense. And for voter fraud to be discussed so that everybody is questioning the next election as well. It's just to maximize chaos, is what I'm trying to say. We do need to talk about it, but we should have been talking about this for the last 3 years, not just right before this next election. Yes, Ronnie, I have seen that. If I could pull it up there we go. If you mirror the Twitter X symbol, you get the Illuminati symbol. I'm going to see if I can pull that up really quick, because I've seen it myself, and let's see. I think I might have bookmarked, maybe. Oh, no, I don't know. There's too much going on. I'll have to find it. Maybe I'll make it even a thumbnail coming up. But yes, the X symbol. You can't trust Elon Musk, okay? He's the richest man in the world. If anybody thinks that he's for free speech, just look at what he did with the World Economic Forum hire that he just had. And there is censorship going on. It's just not the same. They've kind of changed up the censorship. So we're coming down to the wire here, but I'm going to just give you the headlines. Punishing landlords will make the housing crisis worse. Bills submitted in Michigan do little to solve the problem. There is a housing crisis going on in Michigan. The cost of rent mortgages have increased substantially. Lawmakers want to do something, but unfortunately, many of their proposed solutions will simply make the problem worse. Dozens of bills have been introduced in Michigan this year related to housing. Some are good, some are bad. The media coverage of the issue has been decidedly uncritical. The bills have been introduced to protect renters, and with a renter's bill of rights set to prevent landlords from being able to discriminate against tenants on the basis of race, religion, or criminal background. But the actual bill cited, which passed the state house in a wide bipartisan vote, simply requires government housing inspectors to notify owners and tenants of violations and how serious they are. So there have been bills introduced, but like most legislation, unfortunately, they will cause more problems than they solve. So we have to be careful about asking for government to bring in legislation. There is absolutely a problem with rent, but it's because BlackRock has bought up all of the properties after the 2008 crisis, and we allowed that to happen. Why are companies allowed to buy up all the land and all the property? So I don't know what the solution is there, except for not allow BlackRock to buy the land and the land that they have bought. I don't know. What do you guys suggest? What do you think? I don't think they should have the land, but how do we get it back? They should just give it back? I don't know. Lastly, the entire family would love this 700-acre botanical garden in Michigan. Now, I've been saying from the beginning when I first heard about Gotion, why not bring in something like to produce food? Okay? Food is going to be an issue, and food is 100% necessary for life, obviously, and there's nothing more green than plant life. So or even animal life, but why not bring in a garden? And of course, I was met with a bunch of pushback from the pro-Gotion people, and Jim Chapman said that the land isn't even good for, you can't grow anything on that 270 acres that Gotion just bought. Can't grow anything there. So there's a lot of pushback, but I'm still going to keep saying it. The greenhouse. Let's build greenhouses instead of giant EV battery plants. I think something like this would be beautiful and extremely necessary, viable. Like, again, anything besides food, water, and shelter is a luxury if you really think about it. I know that here in America we are used to all kinds of amenities, and I'm so thankful for my hot shower. But honestly, if you can't eat or you can't drink fresh water, then you don't live, and nothing else matters. So bring in gardens. I will say it time and time again. And go to your meetings. I know it takes up your time. Time is precious, but this is very important. And you showing up at meetings will show your strength in numbers and show people in your townships that they're not alone. If they have these inkling of doubt in their mind about how good these EV battery plants are or semiconductor plants for Michigan, seeing you and hearing you discuss facts and details, you can plant seeds. So keep planting seeds and go to these meetings. Vernon Township monthly meeting tonight at 7 p.m. And of course, we have the midweek protests for Marshall. But then August 17th, the Mecosta County Building and Zoning Committee meeting. Very important for Goshen. So if you can make this meeting, please do. And then the August 22nd is the Michigan Strategic Fund Board meeting. And this time, I think I know what I did wrong last time. I will be able to record it live on August 22nd. Ronnie says, I have an article with a Twitter symbol I can share if you give me moderator abilities. You know what? I would love for you to email me because I don't know how to give moderator abilities. I'm sorry. I'm so new. I don't know what I'm doing on some of these things, but send me articles and information on the moderator and we'll work on that. Okay. I don't know if you can share it in the comments and then I could click it, but I'm using StreamYard. I'm not sure of the capabilities of that, but I wonder if I could just type in Twitter X mirror. Let's see if this will have any results. I clicked on it, but it's taking forever to load. There we go. It doesn't show. So it talks about it, but it doesn't show a picture. Isn't that lovely? All right, guys. Sorry I could not provide that picture. It is very interesting, but of course, I didn't type in the right keywords, and so I cannot find it. But let me know. Did I miss anything? Let me bring myself up, shall we? There we go. Did I miss anything on the megasites? Any updates? Please let me know in the comments. Let everybody that's watched this video know in the comments. I really appreciate you guys hanging out. I love sharing this information. I think it's important that we're all informed. If you learned anything today, please smash like. If you are interested in Michigan news and Industry 4.0 and technology content, please hit subscribe and the bell notification so that you're notified whenever I go live. Tomorrow, I'm hoping to talk about nanotechnology, which is a huge industry that is completely unregulated that everybody needs to know about, and it is 100% connected to Industry 4.0 and the electrification of the world, because we are part of the world that they want to electrify. They want to put a chip in our brain with Neuralink, and the transhumanist movement is absolutely connected to the EV batteries. And so tomorrow, I'm going to share with you a bunch of information about nanotechnology. So I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Again, thank you guys. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.